Welcome to the Lovability Podcast. My name is Jennifer Stiers, and I'm here to talk love, relationships, sex, marriage, and everything in between. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Lovability Show. Happy Friday. I am Jennifer Stiers, your host. So I am super excited today. Today was kind of a really cool surprise for me. So I happened to notice online an article that was written actually, it's everywhere. USA Today, all the newspapers and news are writing about stability is the new sexy, and all the new findings from the Singles in America survey from Match. And so I messaged my girl at Match and I said, I want to talk about this. What Helen is talking about in these stories is amazing. This is what I want to talk about. She said, how would you like to have Helen talk with you? I was like, yes, we would love to have Helen. She's amazing. So I am joined today by Helen Fisher. She is the chief scientist over at Match. She's been for, gosh, I don't know how many years, so many years she can tell us. And she's also the chief research person over at, what is it, chief research... help me out.
The Kinsey Institute.
Chief research what at the Kinsey Institute?
Chief research advisor.
Advisor at the Kinsey Institute.
Or let me senior tell you research fellow.
You have the credentials, six bestsellers. She's credentials out the yin yang. She's down to earth. She's a walking encyclopedia. I met her at Match.com. I know she's going to be all embarrassed. But I met her at Match for our Match Summit many years ago for a relationship experts and matchmakers that we went to, and she spoke. And I'm going to tell you something. It's unbelievable. I mean, I could sit and lock myself in her New York apartment with her and just talk love and relationships, because I know she loves it as much as I do, just for days, because she has so much information. And Helen, I want to say hello to you first. So hi, welcome to the Lovability Show.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be with you.
Well, Helen has so much information, and I have to say, Helen, some years I don't want you to give us this information, because sometimes Singles in America survey isn't what I want to hear when it comes to relationships. But this particular study this year, I mean, I've been saying since the pandemic, we were watching, relationships and love and online dating. It was very flimsy. It was very superficial. I mean, people were playing the field. It was all that stuff that, to me, doesn't promote love and relationships. And I do have a very conservative audience that want to find love. And after the pandemic, I saw people becoming more intentional. That was my word. Like, people are more intentional, especially men. That's what I kept seeing, where men were on fire for relationships where I had never seen before, and still are. And I think that this survey says a lot about that. So Helen also is, like I said, at the Kinsey Institute, and she's going to talk a lot, so I'm just going to finish my intro here. When I was in college, Helen, I was studying in my psychology of sex classes, the Kinsey Institute. I mean, it's the place to go for all the great research, and I'm a research junkie myself. I mean, I take that stuff in, and you guys do the best work there. I mean, it's validated. I mean, everything's done right there. So I appreciate what you're doing and how you're doing it. So this is an honor for us to have you. So let's see if we can start off by saying what was your takeaway from this year's research? What was the thing that you loved the most that you heard or found through all the research that you did?
Oh, there was so much, Jennifer. It was really incredible. But maybe the single most important thing is that everybody's looking for love. Everybody is looking for love now. It is such a, I've never used the word historic before, but this time I can. I mean, enormous jump in the number of men and women who are profoundly looking to settle down, get married, settle down together. You know, the bad boy is out, the bad girl is out, and instead, you know, I'm calling it post-traumatic growth.
I love it.
Really, yeah, they're growing up. They've grown up. They have spent a year and a half locked down. They've had a good deal of thought about who they are and what they want, and men are leading the way. Men are leading the way, and millennials are leading the way. The young are leading the way. In fact, you know, when I asked the question, you know, would you like to have a partner who wants to get married? Well, 2 years ago, about 58% of singles said yes, they did. Now 76%, an 18%
I have
jump.
The chills everywhere
for this kind of stuff, you know. And men are leading the way. I mean, 2 years ago, 55% of men wanted a partner who wanted to get married, and now it's 77%. So it's huge. And the young are leading the way. Actually, they're going to lead us, I think, towards a couple decades of relative family stability.
I literally have little baby tears in my eyes. I'm just telling you, I really do. This is how much I love love and how much I love that this shift is happening. And I felt it here in Dallas, Texas. And I love that the research is backing this up. I mean, I really have the chills all over my body. It's so wonderful to hear that our millennials are getting on board, because that was, they weren't buying houses. They weren't getting married. There was like zero commitment on their end from what we were seeing years ago. And now to see the shift there.
Yeah. Well, basically, they're more they were always careful. It's an extremely careful group of people, the young today. I mean, much more careful than in my generation. You know, in my day, people actually got married in their early 20s, and now they're getting married in their late 20s or early 30s. I mean, I call it slow love. And indeed, that's what it is. They're very careful. They're trying to put their whole lives together before they wed. I mean, you know, 40% of singles today want self-acceptance before they get into a relationship. I mean, that's pretty noble.
That's
and
awesome.
They're learning much more about themselves. They're trying a lot of people out, but they're getting rid of what they don't want. You know, they brought in this whole term, define the relationship. Well, in my day, there was no way that after a couple of months you would talk to somebody about defining the relationship. These days, they want to know what's going on, and they want honesty. They want transparency. They want somebody who's fully employed. They want somebody who's financially stable. They care less about looks than they used to. And what we found in this year's Single in America study, I mean, a huge leap forward in wanting somebody who cares for their mental health, cares for their physical health, and cares for their career. So it's a very serious generation. Might not look it with all of their hooking up, but even that hooking up doesn't last long. You know, they're trying people out, but they get rid of what they don't want, and down the road they're going to make very solid partnerships.
I love that. I absolutely, it thrills me beyond belief. You know, one of the things that you had said, and it was years ago, that we had when we were at Match, and we were talking about sex on the first date, and I remember I'm like, oh, don't do that, and you know, I have all these reasons not to, and you're like, oh no, that's what people are doing. It helps them get to know each other, and they're bonding that way. And I was like, oh, anyway, so I'm really glad to hear that swing the other direction.
Well, I'm not advocating it, but the bottom line is we finally live in a society where, you know, I mean, singles today know how to not get pregnant. They know how to not get diseases. They don't have to walk the walk of shame. I mean, they're basically, I think, using sex as a sex interview. Just taking a look at, you know, trying somebody out. I mean, you learn a lot between the sheets. As I say, I'm not advocating it, but you know, learn a lot between the sheets. I mean, is the person kind? can they listen? You know, are they willing to be cooperative and friendly and understanding? So I think a lot of them are. Now, by the way, I mean, singles today are far less interested in that one night stand. I mean,
I love that.
one of the things that we found was, you know, more singles, 73% of singles, we found this in our Singles in America study with Match, 73% of singles have been vaccinated. That's a good deal more than the general population. And 58% of singles will not have sex with somebody who's not vaxxed. Over 50% will not start a romance with somebody who's not vaxxed. 52% won't go out on a first date with somebody who's not vaxxed. And 48% believe people who are not vaccinated are self-centered. And, you know, so one of the things I say, you know, get that vaccination certificate. It's your passport to romance. And it is. These are deadly, it's a bad word. They are extremely responsible. And they want to get this vaccination not only to protect themselves, but they're advertising. I not only care about me, but I care about everybody. I'm a good citizen. So it's a very responsible.
Was that amongst the millennials, Helen? Is that statistic about the vaccination stuff? Is that millennials or is that everybody? Is that across the board?
Singles,
okay.
Yeah. And, you know, just for your audience, you know, I mean, this annual Singles in America study, we cook up about 200 questions. Myself, Justin Garcia, director of the Kinsey Institute, Amy Kennedy at Match, and others. And we don't poll the Match members. This is a national representative sample of singles based on the US Census. So it's real science. And we cook up the 200 questions, scientifically based questions, and send them out. And, you know, I mean, we got the right number of Blacks, whites, Asians, Latino, gay, straight, rural, suburban, urban, every part of the country, every ethnic, et cetera. So, and singles across the board are more careful about getting vaxxed, really careful now about who they go out with. You know, we were expecting the slutty summer. In fact, I got a lot of people from the press saying, oh, we're gonna have a slutty summer. Everybody's gonna, you know, let loose and, you know, be like rabbits. Far from it.
Yeah.
We really, instead, we really are trimmed back, looking for what we want.
Yeah, as a matchmaker, I was surprised also how slow everybody was moving, getting back out there, because I had to wait on my clients to be ready. And everybody was at such a different pace after lockdown, you know, as to when they were truly ready to, number one, get out there and date again, get comfortable being close to somebody, even just sitting across a table for them without a mask, possibly kissing them, you know, anything intimate. So it just all moved, and it's still moving slowly. I think that what a blessing for relationships. I mean, you think of what a horrible thing we've been through with the pandemic, but what a blessing it was to bring us back to what it really needs, some of the simple things, some of the foundational things, back to love instead of all this stuff, whatever was happening. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I mean, this long pre-commitment stage where they are really looking for something serious now.
Yeah.
And more power to them. I think they've always been looking for something serious, but I think that they felt that they've had enough time. They want to get their career together, et cetera. And now, after a year and a half of looking around and seeing what they've got and what they don't have, you know, they're really much more serious about it. And what's interesting is, you know, not only are they caring for their mental and physical health, but they actually report that they're better at relaxing now. They've got more self-confidence, which I think is quite remarkable.
Wow.
They have gotten more sleep. Well, okay, what are you going to do in a pandemic? They're better at unplugging from social media. I don't know why, but my guess is that we do know that they've picked up more hobbies. And they're much better at managing their money and their time. So they're not only looking for the right thing, but they're putting themselves together in extremely healthy ways. I mean, you know, we've all struggled with this pandemic. I mean, nobody's really had much of a good time. But the bottom line is there has been this strange little perk, which is courtship. We're growing up, post-traumatic growth.
It's really bringing tears to my eyes. I'm not kidding. It makes me so happy to hear all of this. So Jim says, do they themselves generally live up to the expectations they have for others? Jim, I think she just answered that, that they took the time, people were taking the time to get themselves together, and have been taking that time to get themselves together. So they're more suitable partners, and they're expecting, I think there's that expectation too, their standards have increased. They're stepping up to the plate and they want others to be at that same standard. Now, interestingly enough, you were talking about that, Helen, about some of the, I don't want to say expectations, but some of the things they wanted in a partner. But here's what we had. 84% want someone they can trust and confide in. 84% can communicate their wants and needs. 83 open-minded and accept differences. 83 want someone that can make them laugh. 83 is emotionally mature. 82 comfortable with their own sexuality. Interesting one. 80% has a life of their own. 79% confident and self-assured, what they want in a long-term partner. Those are some well thought out answers. They have some depth to them. I love it.
And they're way and 78% are interested in somebody who who's physically attractive to them. That's a lot less.
I missed that one.
We've been doing this study for 11 years, and always somebody who's physically attractive is in the top 5, and it's always people say over 90% of people say that that's one of the top 5 things. Now it's only 78. I mean, it's plummeted by 12 points. I mean, that's
good for you. Good for you people. This is excellent. So there's a whole, I have pages of this study, and Helen is the one to talk to each of these things. So leveling the playing field. Singles are thinking more about the importance of a partner's financial stability. The desire for a partner with an income at least equal to their own rose almost 20% from 2019 to 2021, 70 to 86%, I think you said. And desire for a similar level of education went from 79 to 89% in 2021. Desire for a partner with a successful career increased from 85% 2 years ago to 90% today. So stability is the new sexy. There it is.
Yeah, there it is. And I think it's going to stay. I mean, people wonder, well, is this the end? I mean, as soon as are we going to just relapse? I don't think we are. I don't think we're going to forget this pandemic for a good century. I mean, not in the 4 million years of human evolution have we shut down the planet.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big deal, and it affected everybody. No matter who you were affected by it. You couldn't turn on the TV, you couldn't walk out the door, you couldn't talk to a friend or a family member without knowing about this whole issue. Wearing that mask, social distancing, the whole deal. So much of life crumbled away, and it gave us this, I hate to say it, but opportunity to be with ourselves. And sure enough, it has changed humanity.
And at the end of the day, that's really what it's about. And I think that's where we were losing people, is people were choosing the wrong partners because they didn't know who they were and they didn't know what they wanted. And this has forced everybody to look at that. And there's no going back. I mean, once you have that knowledge, I know there was an amazing Carl Jung quote from years ago that said something about once you have that knowledge, you can never go backwards. It's yours now, and you have to do something. So can we go back? I hope we never go back. I hope we move forward from this with a more enlightened person, whether they're single, getting in a relationship, married. I mean, marriages too. I mean, I didn't see anything from a marriage standpoint. I know this is Singles in America. What are you finding? I'm sure you have some statistics there. What did it do to marriages? Did you think overall it strengthened or weakened marriages?
It's going to do one or the other. They're not going to remain just the way they were. I was doing actually a podcast with a guy who is a divorce lawyer, and he said they're really coming into his office, the people who are wanting to divorce. But what we don't hear about are all the marriages that people realized, oh, wow, he's so cool. I never knew what he did all day at work, and now I do because he's down in the basement. I can hear him doing it. So I think that, this is it's a reckoning for everybody. If you're in an absolutely dreadful relationship, it's going to be your time to go. If you are in a mediocre relationship, it's going to be your time to think carefully about this. And if you're in a very good, solid one, you're going to do it even more. So I got married in the middle of this pandemic. So
I did not know that. Congratulations. That's great.
yeah,
Yeah.
in a field in Montana. I mean, but and I'm old too, and it was
not
yeah, it
old.
was absolutely great. It's amazing when you get married. We then went on a 2-week honeymoon all through South Dakota and other parts of that part of the world. Everywhere, people are so nice to you when you just say, "Oh, I'm on my honeymoon." They rush out and give you drinks and presents. And so I do think that it was a great reckoning for everybody. We don't have any good data yet on how many people reconfirm their long-term partnership, because that's not the kind of thing that's data that's hard to collect.
Right.
And of course, with Match, we only study singles. But what's interesting about this is these singles are 1/3, just about 1/3 of the American population. So it's a lot of people. And I think one of the things that I'm really excited about that they've done is they've done more and more of this video chatting, which you would expect. I mean, what else are you going to do when you're stuck at home? But 1 out of 5 started video chatting with people. And of course, there's a lot of singles who aren't looking for anybody. So there's a lot of people trying a new courtship thing. It's a new courtship phase, and I'm really excited about that because we've got quite a bit of data now that on these video chats, they have more meaningful conversations. I think I've mentioned this. They've got more self-disclosure. They got more honesty. They're spending more time getting to know somebody. They care less about good looks and more about financial stability. So it's a wonderful state. And they're also vetting you during these video chats. And so I think we're going to have fewer first dates because people are going to meet before that and say, I don't think so. Or they're going to say, oh, this is really cool. So I think that we're going to have fewer first dates, but they're going to be more meaningful first dates. People are going to say, oh, wow, yeah, I wouldn't mind kissing her. I wouldn't mind kissing him. Oh, yeah, let's go to a fancier place for a drink or dinner or whatever. So I think they're going to be much more comfortable first dates. And as a matter of fact, we asked people, about video dating, and way over 50% said, yes, it makes the first date more comfortable. But even better, over 75%, 78% of singles said that during a video, they could feel some romantic chemistry. And 34% said, sure, they felt that they could fall in love, which doesn't surprise me. I mean, I put people in brain scanners. This is romantic love is a brain system. It can be triggered just like fear or anger or joy or surprise. And it can certainly be triggered during a video date. So courtship didn't end with the pandemic. Nope. Cupid won. Cupid won, COVID 0.
I know, it's great. I mean, if the end result ended up being really, really good. I know during COVID when people couldn't meet, they were video dating for a while, but then when they couldn't actually meet up in person, there was a lot of things that fell off. So it was just one of those times where it's like, you need to be celibate. You need to, you had no choice but to focus on yourself and to put that time and energy into yourself, which turned out to be a really good thing. In regards to that, I do talk to a lot of people that do that video dating now. A lot of people are screening. If they meet them online, they're screening them through FaceTime or Zoom, which I love. I mean, from the standpoint of a first date and, people that date a lot of people and you guys that are spending a lot of money on these first dates, what a great thing to do. I mean, to see, because they say people fool you with pictures and things and put old pictures. What a great way to screen somebody and see, number one, like you said, people can actually feel chemistry, if there is chemistry, but you can actually see who that person is. You can hear how they talk. You can see if there's, what their energy's like, if that's going to match. Not everybody does great on video, though.
Oh, I know. In fact, I'm looking at myself right now and I'm completely rushed. I'm not generally this color.
Did I sleep last night?
But anyway, absolutely. One thing that's really interesting about these video dates is that they are really picky about your background. Now, I forgot to put that other light on back there, but the bottom line is, so if you're going to video date, make sure you got a decent shirt on and combed your hair and got a decent background so that, when you start to get to know somebody, you know so little about them.
Yes.
That you over respond to just a few basic things. Suddenly they like dogs and you like cats. Oh, well, that's no good, they'll say. Or, oh, he's got brown shoes. I don't think so. And that's one of the things that I say, there's so little data that you that you pounce on various tiny little things that if you were to get to know somebody for weeks or months, in your social circle, you wouldn't think twice about those things. So one of the things that I say with video dating, any kind of dating, think of reasons to say yes.
Thank you.
Overlook the tiny little things and get to know them better.
Thank you. I just posted about that the other day. I do post on Facebook every day. And that was the one thing I said is that people go on a first date and they're looking for what's wrong with somebody. They'll find the one thing. They could be perfectly great, but they'll find the one thing. And as a matchmaker, I end up hearing, I'll hear the feedback and they'll find the one thing. And that's what they're going to tell me what's wrong with them. And I always have to lead people back. Well, tell me what was good. Tell me what was right. And if we could flip that story when we go on a date, what's right with that person? What do you like about them? Don't turn them into your husband or wife sitting across the table. Just get to know them and find the things that you like. If you like their energy, if you like their positivity, if you like that they are family oriented, you like the fact that they listen to you, you like the fact that they were, happy and they were kind to everybody that came to the table. Like, what were all the things that you liked about them? And that's a shift, Helen. I mean,
right.
You just said it, and I feel confirmed that is something that's going on everywhere, because to me, that's where people go wrong, is they don't give somebody a second date or a third date. They're dismissing them for stupid things.
Very, very stupid things. I mean, it's just, we have to train ourselves to, by the way, there's a huge brain region linked with what we call in science negativity bias. We remember the negative. And that comes from millions of years of human evolution. I mean, for millions of years, it was nice to remember who your friends were, but if you forgot who hated you, you might die. So the bottom line is the brain is built to remember the negative. Mm-hmm. And, you can go to a party and everybody's so nice, et cetera. And then one person says, did you gain a little weight? What do? You go home, that's all you remember. Yeah. In fact, I was, just exactly what you said, Jennifer. There's a young guy in my bridge group. We play bridge on Sunday nights. And he went out with a girl last Friday night. And he said to me, I don't think it's going to last. They had a wonderful time together, et cetera. But he said, I don't think I'm going to think about this long term. And I said, well, why not? And he said, because she repeated the punchline of a joke 3 times. Give her a break, man. Maybe it was loud in there. Maybe she'd had a little too much to drink. I mean, I don't know, but you've got to think of reasons to say yes. We're fighting for life's greatest prize. We are looking for life's greatest prize, which is a mating partner. So no wonder we're picky. It's adaptive to pick the right person. We all know that. But you got to give people a chance. You got to go out with them. And by the way, men are much more willing to go out on a second date with somebody if the first date is not very exciting. It's women who are the really picky sex. That's
interesting. Can you elaborate on what that means? Like when you say it's not exciting, because I hear from people, both men and women, that there wasn't, and you're right on this though, the women are first to say, I didn't really feel any chemistry. And they're the ones unwilling after that to go on a date because they didn't feel chemistry. Is that what you're talking about? Excitement?
Yeah, absolutely. And men are more likely to give it another try. Men are much more flexible than women for good Darwinian evolutionary reasons. I mean, women not only get pregnant, but they've got to carry the child for 9 months and then delivery. And, women spend much more time with children under the age of 4 than men do and have for millions of years. So They are pickier. Women, we've seen this I've been doing this study with Match Singles in America for 11 years. We got data on 55,000 singles, probably the biggest study of singles in America and maybe the world, probably the world. And over and over and over, women are less flexible about your ethnicity, about your religion, about your age. Over 80% of men will go out with a woman who is considerably better educated, makes considerably more money, and is considerably more intellectual. Women, women are the picky sex for good evolutionary reasons. There's nothing wrong with being picky until you get so picky that you end up on Christmas Eve by yourself.
Right. Yeah. I mean, discerning's good, but you also have to know you have to know what's important to you. You have to know what your non-negotiables are. And I always tell people that we need to look at the deeper things, and maybe you can talk to this a little bit as well. But, I find as a matchmaker that when I match people up, yes, there does need to be an equally yoked factor in regards to looks. I mean, equally yoked.
Sure.
But that it's that lifestyle, background, values, how do they spend their time? Like if somebody's a real outdoorsy, active, likes to go hiking, and the other person is a couch potato, almost instantly that whole deal's not going to work. If somebody's very family oriented and has huge family values and puts their family as a priority, and somebody doesn't, those values are a big deal breaker. So for me, I find that I have the most success with matching people when I'm able to match them on those elements of this, like you talk about stability and security and safety and that whole idea of finding somebody that loves the same way you love. And I do kind of want to get into something that research you've done, but that whole idea of, and it's not just the love languages, but if you're a time spent person, like if you like to spend, if that's what makes you happy is spending time with your person, and that's what makes you feel loved. If you found somebody that naturally liked that too, that they loved spending time with you and they were setting dates up and making plans with you, it would make you feel valued and loved, and it makes that whole courting process just easier, and things fall into place a little bit more.
You've got something big time there, as you have first along here. But anyway, the bottom line is, for the last 11 years, we've always asked, every single year we ask the question, what do you want? And every year until this year, every single year, one of the top 5 things was somebody who spends enough time with me. Singles have, and I think that will come back. Right now, they want stability so badly that's down the list. But people want somebody who spends some time with you. I want to go back to one thing and then go on to something about personality and who we're drawn to. But, people will look at somebody and say, well, maybe I don't want to, maybe he won't be good down the road, maybe this. And what I said to my man before we got married, I said, let's do this one day at a time. Do you want to be here today? Is this good for you today? One day at a time. I mean, so many people wrap it up into something like, 25 years from now, he's not going to be nice to my brother-in-law, this and that. Forget it.
Amen.
How is today going?
Yes. Amen, Helen. Amen. Yes. The people are getting married before they even get done with their first date, day by day. I love that.
And by the way, men do it more than women do.
Wow.
Men are much more inclined on the first date than women to think, oh, wow, this would be the right one for me. And that's a little different from one day at a time. But men make up their mind actually faster than women. But I want to go back to what you said about the way of matching. The academic data is that we do tend to be drawn to people who are from the same socioeconomic and ethnic background, people of the same general level of education and good looks, as somebody who has the same religious and social values, as you mentioned, somebody who has the same economic and reproductive goals. That seems to be across the board. There's always variations, but that seems to be generally. Your childhood always plays a role. But that's only half of who we are. The second half is your basic biological personality style. And this is something else that I did with Match. I created a questionnaire that's now been taken by over, I think, 15 million people in 40 countries. And as it turns out, okay, you got somebody from the same background, same level of education, good looks, etc. But you can walk into a room and they're all from your background, and you don't fall in love with all of them. So I began to wonder, could basic body chemistry draw you naturally to one person rather than another? And I was able to find, do you know this research, Jennifer, that were you aware of this stuff that I did? Or
yeah, and I was looking, I'm so glad you're going into it because I was reading up on it. But yes, I am familiar with it, yes.
Did you take the questionnaire yourself?
I didn't. I did not.
I can tell you, I bet I can tell you what you are. But anyway, the bottom line is,
I'm sure you
as
could.
it turns out, we've evolved 4 very broad styles of thinking and behaving, linked with the dopamine, serotonin, testosterone, and estrogen system. This is basic biology. I studied the brain, not making it up. And people who are very high on the dopamine scale, there's a group of traits that are linked with dopamine. And I call these people explorers. They tend to be novelty-seeking, risk-taking, curious, creative, spontaneous, energetic, mentally flexible, and they're drawn to people like themselves. Explorers go for explorers. If you're very high on the serotonin scale, I call these people builders. They're traditional, conventional, follow the rules, respect authority, detail-oriented, tend to be more religious, tend to be very loyal. They're also drawn to people like themselves. So somebody like Mike Pence is a good example, or Mitt Romney. People who are very high on the testosterone scale, I call them directors, are very drawn to their opposite. People who are high on the negotiator or the estrogen scale. So the high testosterone people tend to be analytical, logical, direct, decisive, tough-minded, good at things like math, engineering, computers, etc. They are drawn to high estrogen. Negotiators, people who are, very good people skills, they're verbal skills, compassionate, trusting, see the big picture, mentally flexible, imaginative, intuitive, etc. But we are all a combination of all of them, but we have personalities, and we express some of the traits in each of these systems more than others. So for example, me, I'm very high on the dopamine scale. I write books and make speeches, and that's risk-taking and novelty-seeking, et cetera, and requires some creativity. And I'm also high on the estrogen scale. I cry at a parade. It's disgusting, but I'm very high on the estrogen scale. My new husband is also high on dopamine, just like me. So that's adaptive. Dopamine goes for dopamine. He's higher on the testosterone scale, and I'm higher on the estrogen scale. So that also works very well. But he's higher on the serotonin scale than I am. And that's where there could be conflict, or there could be great understanding. Now, for example, we were going to the movies, it was a few years ago. And I said to him, I said, sweetie, do you have any water in your backpack? And he said, yes, I do. And I said, well, we can drink it at the movie house. And he said, no, we can't. You can't bring food or drink into a movie house. You have to buy it at the concession stand. Well, it dawned on me to follow that particular rule. But I figure, what's beautiful about this is that sometimes when somebody is just who they are, it's not about you. It's who they are. Rather than going to a therapist for 15 years and understanding everything about your childhood, which is fine under some circumstances, you can just do a workaround.
Right.
And as I said, okay, we'll buy the water at the concession stand. Works for me.
Yeah. Pick your battles, right?
Pick your battles.
All of this is on her website on helenfisher.com. And can they take the quiz on there as well? On the website?
I didn't put it on because maybe I should. It's in all of my books, but it's on my other website, theanatomy of love.com.
The anatomyoflove.com. Listen, I want to tell you guys something. I mean, I'm such a geek with science, I love it, and research. Her books are amazing. I mean, they're so good. I know I have a very educated audience, Helen. I think I had mentioned that, and I will brag on you guys. You guys are incredible, smart, successful, and enlightened. They're a good audience. I think you guys would love these books. I mean, the more we've talked about 5 love languages, we talked about attachment styles. Everything has their little tiny place in the piece of the puzzle. Nothing's like a total exact. But like you said, that's the thing I always talk about with people, and here's where your personality thing comes in, because when you understand people's different personalities, what people do is they say, well, you know, I haven't talked to him all day. He hasn't texted me or called me. And I know he's traveling, but look, he could take 2 seconds and text me, because that's what I would do. And people so often run their partner through their own filter. Well, I would do this, or I would say this, or I wouldn't say this, or I wouldn't do this. And this is where tools like this can help you guys watching, guys and gals, where tools like this can help you, because it helps you understand somebody else. I mean, they've got 30, 40, 50, 60 years of experiences and knowledge and everything, and beliefs that are different than yours, possibly. There may be places where you intersect, but not every place is going to. And it gives you an opportunity to learn from them and grow together when you can respect the differences, but also not expect them to be you and to respond and react the way you would react in particular situations.
Jennifer, I'd give you a hug if I were there. It's just so smart. You know, I long ago, it was a particular moment that I suddenly realized I don't believe in the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have done unto yourself. I believe in the platinum rule. Do unto others as they would have done unto themselves. And you can get into their heart and win. And that's exactly what you just said.
Wow.
Realize that, okay, just because I would have texted him in my spare moment doesn't mean that's what he's going to do. And it doesn't mean that he doesn't love me.
Yeah.
I mean, they've now put a value judgment on the fact that the guy didn't do the text.
Exactly.
And in fact, it might have nothing to do. It didn't even dawn on him. As a matter of fact, his last girlfriend may have been the kind of person who said, "Please don't text on the road."
Yes,
You can't tell. You know.
I know. It's funny because I'll get people, I mean, out of divorces and such, and there's that joke that I always have. Well, no wonder they divorced. You know, they don't know how to communicate or whatever. And they can be taught, though. I mean, people can be taught, because like you just said, though, maybe in their marriage, and that's why marriages sometimes end. Maybe in their marriage they didn't communicate. Maybe that wasn't encouraged, so that person doesn't know what you like. They can't read your mind, and so it's so important to be able to step into their shoes and not judge them. To listen without judgment is such a key thing. I mean, it's such a learned thing, but it's so key when you're getting to know somebody, to get to know them, it's not about running it through your filter and how do I feel about this and what does this mean to me? It's like, it gives you a glimpse into them and their life and who they are and what experiences they've had. And just as Helen said, if you can what does that mean to them? If you can step into their world, it goes, I mean, that's what relationships are about, is a connection, and everybody's looking for a connection. And It doesn't matter where it comes from, but if you get somebody, if they feel listened to and understood and accepted, that goes a really long way into building a relationship with them.
Absolutely. And the other thing is there's something called the, fundamental attribution error. It is an example. Somebody's late. They're really late. And you have this knee-jerk reaction of, oh, he's selfish. Why couldn't he possibly, why can't he do? Instead of saying, oh, maybe there was a big traffic jam. Maybe his mother died. Maybe his boss called and kept him on the phone too long. In other words, immediately blaming somebody when in fact it may well have been some other thing than their character.
I love that.
And we have to remember, and I find myself doing it too, and then saying, hang on, Helen, it might not be that way. It's hard to climb out of yourself, but but women, the high estrogen negotiator type is very good at it. They are really the best at reading people, reading posture, gesture, tone of voice, and compassion. The high testosterone is not actually very good, generally speaking. Now, there's always kinds of exceptions, at reading posture, gesture, tone of voice. You've got to be quite clear with some people. Most people want to please. They want,
especially men. Yeah. Yeah.
But you gotta sometimes. I think that's why the evolution of women, of tears. I mean, women cry more than men. I think it may have evolved millions of years ago as a signaling device. Things aren't going too well here, kid.
Yeah. I love your comment. I mean, I just have to can that one. That's really hard to climb out of yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, it's perfect because, and I think women do it more than men. They get in their heads, and want to process and analyze something they know nothing about. Somebody does something or says something, and it turns into something else in the brain based on experiences and beliefs and all of that. And that hurts things too. I mean, a lot of times, like you said,
I'd say that men though are not much worse. I mean, I would think that both sexes are going to have a hard time getting out of their own head.
Got it. Okay, I'm not going to blame you women. Helen's saved you. Although that's what I tend to find, but yes. Okay, so let's see here. Jerry Ann, it's the ebb and flow that will bring togetherness and commitment if we can relax and let it. Absolutely. People are always in a rush, and I think that is if we've learned anything today, with the research, people are taking their time to get to know people. They're looking for deeper things. They want more. There's more substance to what they're looking for. That's going to take time. So we've got to get over this initial, there's chemistry or there's not chemistry kind of thing, even though statistically it looks like we are. In real life, we really have to put that away and understand, because it happens. I mean, it happens. We've all been attracted to somebody right away. The chemistry's there, and boom, those aren't always the best. Those aren't always the best things to happen, the best relationships. And then there's the ones that creep up on you that, you're with a friend and, it's great and they're your best friend, and then they kiss you or something happens and you're like, whoa, there it is. It's here. And so it can't surprise you.
It's just wonderful the way you say that, because, we've evolved three distinctly different brain systems for mating and reproduction. One is the sex drive, second is feelings of intense romantic love, and the third is feelings of deep attachment. And they're not phases, they're brain systems. And just like you said, you can have a deep attachment to somebody in school, at work, in your social circle. Times change, something happens, and all of a sudden, that feeling of attachment, and then boom, romantic love triggers. And you suddenly are madly in love with them after years of just knowing them as a friend. Or you start out having sex with them, then you fall in love, then you feel attached. Or you fall madly in love with them, and then you have, find them sexually attractive, and then you attach with them. So there are three different brain systems: sex drive, romantic love, and feelings of attachment. And with me, actually getting married, really, here I am in my 70s, and I really have learned so much just from this marriage. I mean, I started out as just friends with this. I thought he was very cool, but he was a big time journalist, and there was no way I was going to put the make on him. And we started out as really just friends. And the romantic love after 7 years is more powerful today than at first. I'll walk down the street and check to see if he's texted me, or wonder what he's doing today, or my heart will even begin to throb. So the bottom line is
that the attachment? Is that the attachment love that you were talking about?
That's the romantic love.
Okay, got it.
Romantic love is linked with that obsessive thinking, the craving, the obsession, the focus, the motivation. For the person. Attachment is a sense of calm. The brain system associated with romantic love is driven by dopamine. That's what gives you the energy, the focus, the motivation, the craving. It's a drive. That brain system for romantic love lies way at the base of the brain. linked with drive. Matter of fact, it lies right next to the brain factory linked with thirst and hunger.
Wow.
Thirst and hunger keep you alive today. Romantic love drives you to overlook a lot of things and focus on somebody and send your DNA into tomorrow. So it's a survival mechanism that evolved millions of years ago, and it will continue to be with us. And attachment is a different brain system. Linked with not dopamine, but with oxytocin and other chemicals. And then the sex drive is linked with testosterone. So there are 3 different systems. And alas, we can feel deeply attached to one person while we feel romantic love for somebody else, while we feel the sex drive under different circumstances. So they don't always go together, but generally they do.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons that casual sex is not casual. Because if you start climbing into bed with somebody, any stimulation of the genitals will drive up the dopamine system and can push you over that threshold into falling in love. And with orgasm, there's a real thought of oxytocin linked with feelings of attachment. So, casual sex is not casual. And in fact, I've asked, have you ever, in our Singles in America study, have you ever going to bed with somebody, just assuming it was going to be nothing, and ended up in a long-term committed relationship with them. And something like 35% of people said yes. So these are powerful brain systems. They evolved millions of years ago. And it was interesting, Jennifer, in the very beginning, you said you had a conservative audience. And I wanted to say, when it comes to love, I think everybody's conservative. These are powerful brain systems. Everybody feels it. Everybody wants to get it right. Exactly what they're looking for in a partner is going to vary from one person to another. But we share this brain system with every living creature, and we all basically want the same things. And by the way, good partnerships are good for your health. I mean, they're not only good for mood and memory, and as you hug somebody, you're driving up oxytocin, giving feelings of attachment. As you laugh with them, you're driving up dopamine, giving energy and optimism and focus and motivation. They're very good for brain growth when you play with your partner. And in fact, there's new data that that people in good partnerships live 5 to even 10 years longer.
Wow.
And in fact, this article came out in the last few months that if you're in a good relationship, it slows down the aging process.
Wow.
So there's a reason that
we're all motivated.
Yeah, and we're going to find it. If you try it all, you're going to find it. I mean, it take some work, but as I say, we're looking for life's greatest prize. It's worth the effort.
I love it. I could listen to you talk all day. I mean, I literally at Match, I think we had you for a couple hours, and it's just, there's never a moment where I'm not like fully engaged in this conversation. She has so much information, books on her website, any other tools that you might, where would you guide somebody if they're watching and they want to know more about these personality styles and the different brains and love? Where would you send them?
I think my book, Why Him, Why Her, it really explains it. Why Him, Why Her, and it's got the questionnaire in it. You can just take that.
Perfect.
Also, my most recent book, Anatomy of Love, has the questionnaire in it. But if you want to focus just on the personality styles, I would read the book, Why Him, Why Her. I don't know what it costs. It probably costs $6 or something on Amazon. And get it in the paperback. It's small enough to stuff into your purse or give to a friend. But it really helped me. I mean, it really helped me understand more about me and really helped me understand my own partnerships.
Right.
With friends, actually. With business people, and with my beloved boy.
Yeah, I always say when you work on yourself and you get healthier, every relationship in your life changes. So, you're making a major shift. Everything looks different, feels different, and changes in your life. I mean, as a coach, I've watched people. I mean, it's, You know, they come to me for that transformation in their love life, but everything, all their relationships, their family relationships, their work relationships, I mean, everything flourishes and gets better. So, it definitely, this is an audience that likes to invest in themselves. So, you know, Helen, I think you're a genius. I hope you keep doing this for many, many years to come. Your research and science, it's incredible. I mean, it really, I sit here every week and I talk to you about relationships and love and the ways to do things. And Helen has all the science to back it up, which I love. And it's our bodies. It's not just science. It's how we think. I mean, this is chemistry. This is our brains. So it's who we are, whether we want to deny it or not. So I would say get the tools. Helen, thank you so much for joining us today. I mean, what a treat this was for all of us, especially me. I love hearing that love is making a comeback. True love is making a comeback. Romance is making a comeback. Courting is making a comeback, and that is music to all of your ears. So everybody, thank you for being here. Jamie, Jim, Cindy, Jasmine, all of you, thank you for being here. Helen, you're the bomb. Thank you.
You are a charmer, kid. Thank you. And happy Thanksgiving.
All right. Have a great weekend. Happy Thanksgiving.
It is that time of year again. That's right. Holiday happiness starts with 20% off all neurotoxins from Adine Kingston Cosmetic and Medical Dermatology. If you book now between November 1st and December 31st, that's right, you can get 20% off all neurotoxins from Adine Kingston, MD, Cosmetic and Medical Dermatology. Please call 469-388-0474. That's 469-388-0474 to book your appointment today.
This is Jennifer. Thanks for listening today, and please subscribe to the podcast. Every single week we'll have new information, and if you'd like to find out more information or if you have any questions, please go to my website at lovejen.com, or you can find me on Facebook at my personal page, Jennifer Stiers.